Hey there, thanks for checking out this video. I'm Matt Mosley with Matt Mosley Music, and today I'm going to be showing you this 1984 Roland JC50 that I got. But first things first, if you're new here, please consider subscribing and joining the channel family. This is a channel where you are seen, you are heard, and we celebrate authenticity. This is not a gear channel necessarily. I am showcasing a lot of the stuff, and I will be showcasing more stuff in the future. Stuff that I use, stuff that I have tried, and I incorporate that into the music that I play, the stuff that I record, and things like that. So you'll be able to see it in action and hear it in action in later releases and things like that. So I'm a singer-songwriter and performing artist of many different influences and from the background of many genres. So anyways, that's a little bit about me, but let's get into this amp real quick. Okay, first I'd like to talk a little bit about why I like Roland in the first place. I've been playing Roland for a long time, and I like the fact that it has such a great tone platform for whatever that I want to do with my sound. It's a solid state amp, and produces a tone that's equal to or greater than, in some cases, than some of the high-end tube amps, and you don't have as much maintenance requirements, tube replacements, that kind of thing. The weight's a little bit less, and you still get a lot of volume and punch. Unlike over the decades that I have experienced some solid state amps that just lack some tonal characteristic that I find lacking. That's what's driven me to tube amp for a long time. But with the Roland amps, I get much more tone in the solid state amplifier, and they just love pedals also. So you can pretty much color it however you want to. You can even get preamp pedals and everything like that you can do amazing things with. So let's get into this particular amp. This is a 1984 Roland JC50. I've been wanting one for a long time. I've played the 120s, and those are pretty big for a 212 combo amp. I have also done some work with some of the 210 varieties, and they lack a little bit in the bass response for me. I've always wanted the 112. I knew that they made them for a limited time, and I was able to find one in my local area, and just amazed at how well it's been kept over the years. It's like almost in new condition. And so while these aren't like commonly on the market, as far as they're not coming out still producing this amp, the Roland amp, the Roland model hasn't really changed a whole lot. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about it toward the end, and even then briefly. I don't want to get into like the whole lineage of Roland and stuff. That, yeah, manufacturing methods have changed over the years, but as far as the basic, the tonal platform that you get, you pretty much get the same thing. They've been pretty consistent with that, which is what I like about them. So let's get into this amp. Again, I keep rabbit trailing, but today I'm going to play my Eastman SB59, and I also have an Eastman Romeo NYC. I do like Eastman guitars. I'll talk to you a little bit about the guitars when they come up, but I've got a solid body, and the Romeo NYC is going to be a hollow body with Filtertron pickup. So we have a little bit of variance in the types of guitars that we're going to be playing today. So let's start with the SB59. It is a classical single cut with the Okune back and neck, which a lot of people mistake for mahogany. It's a very close variant of mahogany. The structural characteristics and the tonal characteristics are very similar to mahogany. However, it's a little bit more sustainable, and I like the aspect of being able to partake in, and invest in a company that really favors sustainability. So so this one has the Seymour Duncan 59s in it. It comes that way from Eastman, with an ebony fretboard, your basic LP controls and everything. That we don't need to spend too much time getting into that, but I will do a video on this guitar, my Romeo, separately, where I can focus more in on them. But let's get out of the way. Let's get our control panel out of the way. Okay, so we have a bright on and off switch over here. we have just the volume, treble, and bass, okay, on the preamp side. You have a distortion knob, which a lot of people have misunderstood. I think it gets a lot of bad raps because I don't think it's widely understood what that's really for, at least from my experiences of using it. Reverb, speed and depth control for your vibrato and chorus, both with a selector switch here. Okay, so that's the basic layout of this. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay, one thing I will say is that the EQ controls are they don't vary greatly like a lot of amps do when you really tank one of the either the bass, mid, or treb, or crank it. But with the use of the bright switch, you kind of get a different spectrum of which you can do some very fine-tuned adjustments on this sound. So let's start with we're gonna go with the bright on, and we have our humbuckers equipped here. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a buzz out of that, but not too bad. It's, you know, an amp in a smaller room. So right now I'm gonna go with the bright on, and I think one of the things that's important to know is that really is a control that you're gonna find what your guitar works with. If you have something like the darker humbuckers, you might want to go with the bright on. You might have something that's more on the high end or the twang, like a Fender or Tele or Strat or something like that. But still, even then, you're gonna have to pair it with whatever setting suits you the best, and there's nobody that can tell you that except yourself. But let's see what the bright sounds like. Okay, so I'm going to play a few different styles, and we are only going into the amp for this video. We're not doing effects or anything, but we're just going straight in. We're just going to be playing some clean stuff just to go over what this amp does. Okay, so you're in the neck position. So you get a lot of good snap out of even the neck pickup in this one. And then we'll go into the middle one, kind of play that same little run. To the neck pickup, so you get a little bit more edge out of that one, and with this amp. So it still remains, you still got a lot of good bottom end, even on the bridge pickup. In there, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it in. So, and one thing I didn't say before is I'll say now is I pretty much have my EQ pretty much in the middle position. Okay, that's where we're just kind of starting with this one. I'll probably do some adjustments of my own, but that's going to be something that's just going to be for me. And I'm basically showing the EQ is set, like even with this, I'm still getting a great tone that I would feel good, you know, playing professionally or playing on live or anything like that. So let's move on to this distortion knob. Okay, so it's not really meant to be like a separate distortion channel. I think a lot of people that have a lot of negative things to say about it, they don't understand that it's over here. I mean, I don't know if Roland meant to do it like this, honestly. But it's over here with like the reverb and some of the controls for like the chorus and the vibrato. As a way to say it's almost like another coloring of the tone, not necessarily meant to be its own standalone channel, like a distortion channel, like a 2-channel amp or something like that. So what I have found with this is it does provide a good boost. Like if you wanted to do a boost of like a solo boost where you don't want to add more saturation. So it's kind of like putting a boost pedal after your overdrives, where it's going to boost the volume instead of boosting the saturation if you put it before your overdrives. It kind of works like that. You will get a little bit almost like the edge of breakup. You know, if you wanted to put a little bit more of a tube sound into this solid state amp, you can do so with this. We won't crank it up too much, but you can even, well, you know what, we will. Let's go ahead and just dime it, okay? So, and I'm still on my bright setting, okay? So let's see what we got. Oh, yep. I'm gonna take some of that volume down. Okay, because it does add a good amount of boost, but you can still get a relatively clean sound. The touch dynamics are going to come out when you hit it a little bit harder. So probably not something that I would play dime like that. Just kind of showing you a little bit about what it will do. I mean, that's really the most distortion you're going to get. So it's not like a high gain. It's not meant to be anything like that, okay? But let's just kind of put it right back there around 5, okay? So it doesn't muddy up too much even on the neck pickup. It does give you a little bit of a boost, a little bit of just a little bit of breakup sound, but that's up to you if you wanted to use that. Like I say, they still make that on the amps today, but just understand that it needs to be used properly. I think if you are going to use it, and just understand what it's really meant for. So we're going to get some reverb going onto this one now that we've kind of gone over some of the tone here. So reverb even dimed. It's a good, you know, digital. A good digital studio reverb. It doesn't drip like a vintage tube amp or something like that. But it is a very pleasant reverb in my opinion. Like with everything else, just kind of got to bring it back up, and we'll keep it here for the rest of the time I'm on this guitar, and then we'll switch out the guitars and kind of go dry and then add some reverb into it. So there we are in the middle position. Okay, so we've kind of gone over all of the pickup, you know, configurations in the bright setting. Now let's turn the bright off. You'll see it definitely gets a little bit darker. Okay, we'll come back up here to the neck position. So you can kind of you can hear it's definitely gone a little bit darker. So you may not want to you know, use this setting unless you're maybe playing some jazz and you do want to go in there and add a little bit of the highs. So I mean, it's so it's still muffled to my ears a little bit more than I would like, even when I'm playing like some jazz or anything like that. But you can still come down into your bridge pickup. So you got a good full rich tone out of your bridge pickup. Okay, and right there in the middle. So that's a little bit with the bright off. I don't feel like we have to really get into too much time just noodling around, and that you kind of hear some of the tones that it's capable of. I mean, I like them all. I mean, if it were me, you know, it is me, but you know, as far as my settings are gonna be concerned, this guitar will be played with the bright on, just to give it a little bit more, just, you know, a little bit more pop. Some of my, especially when I'm doing like some finger style stuff, and I want a little bit more. So I will play some finger picking a little bit here. So definitely a very articulate sound that you can get with this, especially for some of the finger style stuff that I do. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch it to the other guitar, and we'll see how that does. So stay with me. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with my Eastman Romeo NYC, and this is going to be a mahogany body, mahogany neck. It's going to have a spruce top. To be honest with you, I was surprised to see that on a guitar like this, and I'm glad that I was able to find one with this type of top, because this really pairs well with some of the acoustic stuff that I do. And it is a full chamber body with the bridge block. Okay, so that's kind of what we're getting with this guitar. It's got the Seymour Duncan Filtertron pickups in there, and so that's what we're going with on our tone, little vibrato bar. So let's get it turned on and everything. Okay, so we're back with our bass and treble, pretty much at the halfway point at 12 o'clock. We're not playing the distortion. I think we've talked about the distortion knob enough. Reverb is right at the 12 o'clock position. Speed and depth is not really important right now because we don't have the chorus and vibrato on, but we are going to turn that on here in just a minute. Okay, so let's go into the bright setting. So this one is interesting because this is going to be a little bit tonally more dynamic than the SB59, and but it pairs well with it and with my acoustic, so that's kind of why I like having it around. So we are in the, everything is dimed on the guitar. Okay, we're in the neck position right now, the neck pickup. All right, so, and the bright is on. So definitely has a little bit more punch to it. Okay, so let's go a little bit lower. Do a little bit of that in the middle position. Okay, so now let's throw it into the bridge position here, and we're still on with our bright channel. Okay, so that's a little bit of this amp with this guitar and the bridge pickup. Now let's go and take the bright off. Okay, so this one, these are a little bit bright, a little bit more bright and snappy, and these actually hold it very well with the bright off. So let's look at coming in for maybe some jazz. If I can play the right note, let's do this. Okay, let's take that over into the middle position here. Okay, see how much that we can hold in the neck position. Okay, so that holds up really well, rolling off the bright, especially if you have something that's normally a little bit more brittle or something on the high end. You might consider, if you are looking at Roland, even a newer Roland, trying that, that method, rolling off the bright. That often gives it a great platform for maybe a guitar that might be a little bit more bright and twangy, and you want to tame that a little bit. So I'm just going to play here in the bridge position here on this before we get into the chorus and the vibrato. Man. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this amp is working for me. And if you happen to get a chance to pull up one of these JC50s, I would highly recommend it. Anyways, other than that, the Rolands that are coming off the market today are still, in my opinion, very top shelf. So let's go into the reverb. So what I'm going to do, the chorus and the vibrato. So it's just over the chorus. Okay, I've got these pretty much like everything else at the 12 o'clock position. There is not as much adjustment in the speed and depth on the chorus as there is the vibrato. The chorus I found on the Rolands at this position is just the perfect amount of the speed and the depth, just to give a good lush, nothing crazy, but definitely a good chorus tone. So next we're going to come up into the vibrato. Here we get to definitely go over a wider range here, okay? So okay, that's where we are at the 12 o'clock position on both. Actually, that's a pretty nice sound. So let's just go ahead and slow that down a little bit. Okay, you want to speed that up a little bit? Oh, there it is. Let's run that depth up. So now we're pretty much dimed on both of those. Doesn't get too out of control. And by the way, I did both of these at about the 3 o'clock on the speed and the depth on the vibrato. So that adds a good, pretty good color to the tone if you need to have that. And like with even with the amps that are coming off the lines today, this one is set up for foot switches for all of these, the distortion, reverb, of course, and vibrato and things like that. So just my final words on this amp. It's an amp I'm definitely glad that I came into contact with. It's been something I've been wanting to get for a while, and definitely, like I say, if you're looking for just great a tonal platform to build your sound on, you can't get much better than getting yourself a Roland and letting that go to work for you. So anyways, that's about it for this video. Remember, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned because some of these other instruments that I have, some acoustics, some things that I'm currently using, I am going to start putting some things out about those as I wrap up this EP that I am working on now, and I'll definitely fill you in about that as well. So thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you on the next one.